Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you for coming back. I hope you enjoyed the cookies. I have a brownie waiting for me. Um, uh, Before we get started, we're just going to go over our disclosure statement from the ANCC. Uh, like we talked about before, we are offering 3.5 contact hours for today. This nursing continuing professional development activity was approved by the American Association of Critical Care Nurses, an accredited approver by the American Nurses Credentialing Center's Commission of Accreditation. And here are our objectives, which we've accomplished quite a few so far. I'm now going to bring it over to Marianne Connor. She is going to introduce our 4 abstract presentations.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have 4 really interesting presentations. The first presentation will be by Kim Velez. Kim is an expert clinical informatics trainer and educator at Northwell Health. There'll be 15 minutes total, so her presentation and then questions. So get your questions ready for Kim.
You can hear me, right?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So good afternoon. This presentation is what myself, Kimberly Velez, and my colleague, Jamie John. We did this a couple of years ago. So we will be planning to do another research a little bit later, and I'll get into that. So my presentation is there a deficit in the electronic health record or the EHR or the EMR, depending on who's saying it, training during primary nursing education? There's no conflict of interest. And my learning objectives are at the conclusion of the presentation that the learner, you should be able to at least describe one perception of the student for their EMR training and identify hopefully one strategy that we could use to better enhance their training for future. So we all know in nursing schools, part of the thing, or as a nurse, good record keeping is essential for safe nursing care. EHR replaced paper, for those of you that don't know, and it improved the legibility, access, and efficiency. Nursing students really have very exposure to the EHR system. Okay, so I'm going to be wearing a couple of different hats so you can see different viewpoints. So the first viewpoint is going to be nursing schools. What do they have to do? They have to focus on the didactics, getting that information into the nursing students. What about clinical placements and a lot of the shortages, right? It really worsened during the pandemic when I was really starting to do this study, actually before the pandemic. So we had that problem. Once the pandemic hit, then we went to the sim labs, and that became a substitute for some hands-on training. And when you now add in the implementation of the EHR, nursing schools are like, really? Added this on. So now the technology and the curriculum is evolving, right? They have to keep up with the IOM, Future of Nursing, that as technology and new things happen, you have to include it in your curriculum. But what are their challenges? They have limited software. They're struggling to keep up with a lot of the things that they have to do. Next, now we're in the hospital's expectation. So now the new grads are out there. Hospitals expect the new grads to be confident and actually EHR ready. They're assuming that all this has happened in the nursing school. They know they have to have preceptors and they understand that they really have to help these students along, but they expect really competent, experienced EHR nurses. And we know that documentation is going to impact billing, compliance, and safety, right? So onboarding can vary a lot of different ways. And it can go from be having told to sit in front of modules to do your EHR training, or like me as one of the trainers, we have a full day that we take them through this process. Now, what are the students experiencing? Well, a lot of them have varied exposures. Some get to practice, some get to just observe, some don't even have anything at all. And just listing EHR in your curriculum doesn't really guarantee that the students coming out have that particular skill. And the students really feel unprepared. And these negative first experiences can really shape their long-term attitudes towards nursing and EHR in general. So now I'm wearing my hat, the informatics nurse and one of the trainers. And what me and my colleague did notice over time is that after we're doing the training, a lot of the nurses will come and put aside and like, we really feel ill prepared. And we're asking, well, why? They said, because this is the first time we're touching the EHR system. Like we have a lot of things to juggle, all the knowledge, and we really wish we had time to practice some of this as we were going to school. And this leads to low confidence in their documentation. So my purpose of this presentation is just to look at the early career nurses' perception of their exposure to the training in the nursing school. And part of my research question is, how is the EHR documentation covered really in academia? And is there a gap between the knowledge and the practice? So I went through this process where I was able to enable a Student Nurses Association to give me like a focus group. They came to a conference and I asked a couple of questions and had a little survey and just wanted to see if there was an issue. Based on the feedback, it said, okay, it seemed like there is a problem. So now I created a survey. And again, this was a journey. I didn't know anything about IRBs and all this stuff, but I made it through, right? And I created this survey and it had to be validated and I learned all about that. So again, this is years and years going by, and my goal was to pretty much understand the experience, identify any barriers, and assess any improvements. Okay? So this is, and these are some, like I didn't know. So I was giving them the survey and say, listen, this is why I'm doing it, to see, this is why I want you to answer these questions, to see, are you getting trained in the clinical instructor, the faculty, or no one at all? Are the nursing clinical instructors are even engaged in the EHR during their rotations? Here is a copy of my survey that I did. The first couple of questions were just really just getting demographics. Then I wanted to know, well, who's in your clinical site? How are you accessing the site? Who has access to it? And did your program have simulations? And then I did a Likert scale of how would you rate your experience? And then I did have an open-ended question to be able to get some comments. So here are some of my findings. Where did you use the EHR system in your hospital? So 53.8 used it in clinical settings, which I was happy about. 38.5 said it was both in clinical and simulation. At least they're getting some use out of it. But only 7% had a student-only access. Documentation, who had access in the EHR? Well, you had 30% said that the faculty promoted this always, or who had access. Access to documenting in the EHR was available at your clinical rotations. 38% said yes, it was probably good or prepared, and the other 38% said, so-so. How overall was the nursing clinical faculty promoting this EHR? Only 30% said it was always promoted. This one really struck me when I asked, my clinical experience have me prepared for this, and 38% said they were good. None of them said they were outstanding, and only a third was either satisfactory or borderline or poor. And I thought that was something that was definitely room for improvement. Obviously, there is a clear gap. I asked some open-ended questions. Some of the responses, we need more practice in testing. I had very limited access to the EHR, and instructors were often annoyed or discouraging. And another said, every EHR is different. So one of the things I liked is as I went to different hospitals, I got exposure at least, but I barely touched it in the lab. And in clinical, it was only the instructor that had access. This one was the one that really got to me. It said, as a student, I really feel unprepared for my new grad job because I have little to no EHR experience, and it should be a course in the nursing program. Something to think about. So, as I'm wrapping it up, some conclusions. The benefits of incorporating electronic documentation in academia is the opportunities for the students to practice without the stress of providing patient care. A lot of them said that they got the tools down and then they got the training, but they never got it together. So a lot of new grads are staying behind, 2 hours behind, because they do the task and then they do the documentation, but they said they never learned how to incorporate it side by side. And I think one of the things, and ANA has identified it too, that there should be some standardization as to how you are really documenting, even if you only have the sim labs. Have them practice and then have a computer or something right there. It doesn't matter the program because a lot of the restraints is we don't have money for the programs or low cost. But even if you practice during while you're doing it, they have a chance to do that simultaneous documentation. And that's one of the things. Limitations for my study is it was during COVID, so I had trouble doing the survey, connecting, and the distribution of the participants. A lot of the students had to opt out because I did have an exclusion question to say, were you doing clinicals in the hospital? And a lot of them wasn't. They were doing it just in the sim lab. So a lot of the students had to get, so I'm going to redo it now with a larger subgroup. And hopefully, now that technology has increased in nursing schools, things are better. I'm wondering what the outcome would be. And, obviously, my sample size was limited. So, again, my lessons learned, I'm going to do duplicate research on a new set. I do have my nursing student association that's willing. And then I'm just going to increase the sample size and then just advocate for the revision. And these are my references, and thank you.
Hi, Kim.
Hi.
So one of our virtual attendees, who I think you know, Dr. Catherine Taylor Pearson,
Okay.
she would like to know, she said, we implemented an academic EHR, clearly also saw the need. Do you find nurses understand the power of the data they generate?
I really don't think so because I think their focus is just trying to learn all the things as far as nursing. So their mind is, I got this book, I have to, med surge and what is diabetes and what is neurology. So I think the importance of the faculty to be able to bring that together and say, while you're learning this, just be able to know that that data is important, that we're putting it in the system. So I really don't think that they're getting that connection until they really get out into the real world.
Any more questions? Oh,
I just have a comment.
Yes.
I keep in New York City in a nursing program.
Okay.
Thank you. I had a big enough mouth. And one of the problems we run into is depending on where our clinical sites are, we have no access to the EMR. And all we can use is a handoff report to get at least a little bit of history and a little bit of what's going on now. But the students can't touch this, neither can we touch the system at all. And that's a real drawback in my
And that
opinion.
is a drawback because I know when they bring in the medical students and the residents, they have full access and they can document. even though they don't have a license, whereas the nursing instructors will co-sign everything. So again, these are things that we're trying to push in our hospitals. And these are one of the things that I said that we have to really advocate for that. And if they don't have access, then give them practice in the sim lab and say, you know what, when you weren't able to do it in the hospital, but this is what you would actually do in real life.
That's exactly what we have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you, Kim. This is a really important topic, especially with the competencies that are going to be required of nurses coming out of school at a baccalaureate programs, the informatics competencies. So your work is so important and so much more. We wait to hear the follow-up on it. Okay. Okay, our next speaker is Erica Zippo, and Erica is a nursing informatics manager at White Plains Hospital. Is that okay? Okay, cool. Thank you. Which way? This one? Okay. All right. So hi, I'm Erica Zippo. I'm the nursing informatics manager at White Plains Hospital. I have a loud voice, so I'm afraid that I'm going to be louder with this, but I think I'm okay. So first, before I start, I want to recognize the value of local chapters. I've been involved with ANIA since I began in informatics, and more recently, more active with HIMSS. And not everybody has the means to get to a local, to a national conference, and these are so valuable and important, and I like to participate when I can. So thanks to everybody who helped put this together. Um, so I'm here to talk about downtime, which I thought was going to be boring, but actually George and the panel did a great job of wrapping up my presentation. So that was great. This is my second presentation on downtime, and it's not because I'm loving the topic, but because it really, really impacts the bedside clinician greatly. So what I've seen in the last 9 years is as our smaller hospitals join bigger health systems, all the IT becomes remote, becomes consolidated, it's outside the 4 hospital walls, it's sometimes contracted out, and they're just not in touch with the day-to-day workflows of clinicians anymore. And so what my presentation is really about is how do our local hospital-based informatics teams help with downtime strategies. Okay. So White Plains Hospital is a 292 bed tertiary hub. We're a member of Montefiore Health System, and we're growing at a tremendous pace. You can see our reach here in the Hudson Valley. And we serve as the hub of advanced care in the Hudson. So I started out as a labor and delivery nurse. I worked for 12 years at the bedside, mostly night shift. My little arrow, and that's me. And this is a picture from my last shift as a nurse before I became an informaticist. And I learned how to be a nurse from the best nurses, and all of those lessons shape how I approach informatics every day. So my mentor was Fran, and one night we were admitting a labor patient, and we walked out into the hall, and I asked her, I said, "Do you know them?" I said, "You just like, I feel like you know them." And she said, "Nope." She said, "I just want everybody to feel like they're at home. I want everybody to feel comfortable here." And that will always stay with me. I could picture the room in my head. And that's really at the core of what nurses do. They care. They want the patients to have a great experience, but they need the tools to do that. The tools need to be quick and easy and reliable. They have to have the facts and not fluff, right? So we've gotten really good at EHRs and making them super customized to what we need. And so when downtime happens, everything's just completely out the window. So how does downtime impact this nursing paradigm? Okay, I hope I can play this. So anyone watch Grey's Anatomy? Okay. I love Grey's Anatomy. This is from season 14. It had a downtime episode. It's pretty funny. So think about, is this really accurate or not? I hope I can play this. Okay. Can you hear it?
Oh.
Oh.
Share the audio.
Oh. Does anybody know how to do that?
Or I could just make it really, or you want me to put the mic by it? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, ready? Okay.
I've got kids up there. I don't even know what meds they're on.
We can't even order meds and we can't monitor our patients.
Okay, everyone stop. I thought we were prepared for this. We were told to have the whole cybersecurity seminar. We are on Friday.
On your family, what the hell are we gonna do?
All right. See that? That right there is what we're not going to do. We're not going to go running around flapping our arms like the sky is falling, right? Just because we've lost our computers, we don't have to lose our minds, okay?
Okay. That's my favorite thing to do in this presentation. I'll do it forever, I think. So yeah, I think that's kind of accurate, right? We don't know how to order. We don't know how to send labs. We don't know what to do. It's really valid. All right. So why is downtime preparedness important? It's a low frequency, high risk event. And quite honestly, it's a really low frequency event now. Like it doesn't happen all that often. And our planned downtimes are very short. The goal of the IT departments are to make them shorter and shorter and shorter. And so really, do you even need to do any documentation? Everybody just kind of holds off, right? We're all waiting, holding our breath for it to come back. Processes and policies can be complex. And really, nurses now have never documented on paper. So George mentioned in his presentation a prolonged downtime and going back to what we used to do. That doesn't exist anymore. Going back to what we used to do is not the baseline. We have to think about this in a different way. How do we prepare people for downtime? We can't just grab out all our old forms that everybody knows how to use. So like, I know how to use them. I know how to use a paper MAR, but most people don't.
Yeah.
And right, so everybody's anxious because it's not familiar. Nobody knows what they're doing. So I used the ANIA Nursing Downtime Preparedness Guide and Toolkit to help drive the work that I've done in the last 3 years. So they recommend stuff that you'd think they would recommend. But I think what's really important is you want in-person hands-on training and forms practice. This cannot be clicked through. This is not, LMS system type stuff. People have to practice. And informatics committees and task forces are really important to the process. Okay, so in 2022, I took this job and like 3 weeks later, they were like, hey, we're gonna do March Prevent Downtime Madness Month. This was something put on by our corporate IT and they created a form. It was a downtime drill form. It was just a Microsoft form with a bunch of questions. It was meant to get people to think about downtime, answer the questions, log into the downtime computer, print some forms. So, okay, great. They said, here, you have to get people to do this. I was like, all right. So I scheduled some training sessions at Downtime Computers. I geared it towards managers and educators. It didn't go super well. It was okay. Low participation and engagement. People started asking me who did the drill. I don't know who did the drill. I was unable to track the participants. It was really hard to find the drill. It was emailed out. So you'd go to the BC computer, you'd open your email, open the link. It was like really quite a production. So I said, all right, I guess I have to think about this for 2023. So 2023, I said, okay, let's give it a theme and make it like kitschy. Okay, basketball, it's March. I created a train the trainer approach. So I said, okay, you guys will be downtime drill coaches. I will train you, and then you will go out on your units and champion downtime drills, because there's one thing nurses don't want to do is any type of education around downtime. So they don't want to talk to me. They want to talk to their peers. So I tried to get the peers involved. I created laminated flyers. I did a survey monkey for tracking who participated. I put a shortcut to the downtime drill on the downtime computers, which really helped, and then tried to do some feedback tracking. And then I even created pins. Well, those were okay. I thought they were really funny, but that wasn't for everybody. So the Survey Monkey data was completely unmanageable. It was different than the data that our IT corporate department was sent out, which was every time a form was filed. So it just ended up being a little bit of a mess. And then I didn't get around to recognizing the winners who participated the most. So I said, okay, here, we'll try again. For 2024, I made my flyers nicer. I used our learning management system to track, like, I participated in a drill, so then the managers can go in and see who participated. I did reach out more towards our ancillary departments to try to get them involved because they should know how to, this is not just about nursing, it's about everybody. And I recognized the top performing departments and used them on the flyers for the following year. And people actually really got into that. So that was really cool. So this is what I ended up doing. So for Kelly's in, yeah. So I made like a little basket of treats for the winning department, and I a little something for the nurse managers because they really helped me out by doing it. And then I also recognized that department through our official hospital rewards and recognition venue that gets posted on social media. And just FYI, Jensine is an informatics task force member. So people who have this informatics skills and participate in your task force can really drive this on the units because you have to have that bit of knowledge and understanding to help make it work. And so we see that here with 5I. They did a great job that year. And obviously White Plains Hospital is a 3-time magnet organization. And so utilizing informatics task force and our nursing governance meetings is really key to getting increasing the engagement. And by the way, our corporate IT department, while they are so important to the downtime and resiliency process, they did not tell me to do any of this. They basically said, here's the form, get everyone to do drills. And so this is really left up to us. This is left up to for I was a party of one, me, it was me. Okay, so what did my data look like? I trained about 50 downtime drill coaches in 2023 and 2024, and then it really dropped off this year. I really wanted staff RN downtime drill coaches. Those numbers were never great, and they also really dropped off. So what this tells me is I have to kind of re-envision this for 2026, and I will. But it's important to look at that. I don't want to do it again if it's not working. So downtime drills completed. In 2022, we did just over 150. And what's interesting is there are 10 hospitals in the Montefiore Health System, and we were number 2 at 150. So nobody's engaging, nobody's doing this. But we were number 2. Then in 2023, I think we lost again. We were number 2. And then 2024 was weird. But then 2025, we did just about 850 drills. And we were the number 1 hospital in the health system. But winning is cool and being the best is great. But like, I don't want to do things just to do them. So what did we learn from this? Like, what's the purpose? Okay. Not every service ticket comes to me. That's not my job. But I track some of them just to get an idea of what's wrong. And the purpose of this slide is to show you that it doesn't matter how many times you do this exercise. We opened 16 tickets in 2025, which included anything from the BCA is not configured, the BCA is missing a report, printer issues, labeling issues, you name it, we had it. So this, you have to do this. You have to keep doing this. We all want to do cool stuff, but we do also have to do this. One of our biggest accomplishments, we had a postpartum downtime computer completely missing any OB related reports. We identified departments with no downtime printers. We had a pretty big, like our main downtime inpatient clinical. Are you looking at me? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm almost done, actually. Right. So this report was filled with nonsense, and we cut it down by like a third. It just was filled with stuff that was not helpful. We cleaned up the downtime report, and we identified a bunch of education. People do not know how to use a downtime R. They don't know how to order labs. They don't really know how to do much of anything. So we had, we're planning, our informatics task force took on lab ordering this year, and we're going to start iterating through the top like processes that we use and that we need education on. So future considerations, forms are a mess. We have to do a downtime forms review, and we have to find an easier way to do it because nobody's making forms of everything we can't do it that way. Extending some education, dealing with newer nurses that have never documented on paper, dealing with all of our integrations, the Internet of Things, all of our other things that go down, and all of our AI. Like once AI starts writing our notes for us, like does anybody even know how to write a note anymore? I don't know. Maybe they will, but I'm not sure. So anyway, I think in order to make this successful, you have to make it fun. Repetition is key, hands-on practice, recognize high performers, trust but verify. I go and check every BCA myself. And thank Dr. Shafroff, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. If you can't make it perfect, just pick one thing and start and then go from there. That's it. I don't think there's
Thank
times
you.
for questions. You're welcome.
Great. No, any questions, any burning questions? One burning question, Olga.
They need to hear you in the teams.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, online folks. All right, so Eric, a question for you. Is a downtime procedure part of your onboarding of new employees? I was just curious because I know you said that you have to maybe reinvent yourself on how you're going to do this again. I'm just curious if that's part of it.
I think it's like on a checklist for nurses somewhere. It says like, make sure you do a downtime drill with your preceptor. I don't know how good that is doing, but it's there.
Yeah, good. Because
Yeah.
once you get it, it's easier usually to then
Yeah.
have a refresher as opposed to starting from scratch.
Yeah.
One more.
One more.
Hi, Erica. So
Hi.
I noticed that your participation in 2022 and 2025 were better than 24, but that also coincided with higher tickets that were placed. Do you think you got more tickets because you had more participation in downtown drills and people were more aware of what needed to be reported?
Yes, I do. I think that's a great idea. I probably, yeah, very likely. Thanks. That's it. Thank you.
It's a great.
We
another
actually
great-
have,
another-
sorry, one more
Oh,
from
sorry.
online.
Hi, this is from Amanda McMahon. Would like to know, are other disciplines included in the downtime education and drills, or is it just nursing?
It's supposed to be for everyone, and I do try to reach out to as many. So I'm the nursing informatics manager, and I try to stay in my lane, but I do include all of the ancillaries in my messaging and my emails. I open up my downtime drill coach training to everybody, but really the participation has mainly been nursing.
So I just wanted to plug, just because Erica is from White Plains and I'm from White Plains, it is very important to have that champion. And Erica has been somewhat the sole champion for us for downtime, but it's so important to have that clinical champion, that informatics champion, to really kind of push this. So thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
Thanks, Erica. Okay, our next two speakers are Laurie Huryk. She's a nursing informatics manager from Centra State Healthcare System, and Janet Pagulayan. She is the nursing informatics manager from Atlantic Health Chilton Medical Center.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I don't know. We have another topic, but I'm compelled to talk about downtime still. I, it's just that nowadays people don't even know how to read cursive, so sleep over a little bit. Okay.
Behind the screen.
So this is our third time presenting this topic already. We presented it first at the New Jersey Consortium of Magnet Organization, and it got so popular. We also presented it at the ANIA in New Orleans, and now this. Um, yeah. So my name is Janet Pagulayan, and this is Laurie, just in case you mistake who's who. So Laurie, you want to say something?
So
Yeah?
we're here to talk about innovative techniques to reduce nursing alert fatigue, which we were also set up with some of the discussion earlier today about what we're trying to do is make the alerts a little more interactive, a little more useful and meaningful, and so that people actually read them. And we did this in collaboration with the rest of the informatics nurses in the system, as well as our IT partners.
Our system has 6 hospitals, soon to be 7, and we formed the group composed of all the representatives from all areas. And like you mentioned, We won't be able to fulfill or do this job without the help of our IT people. So thanks to them. We honor them, yeah.
Alert fatigue is caused by excessive pop-up notifications and in the electronic health record, and they pose a significant challenge for nurses. So by definition, alerts interrupt the workflow. And so that can impact the quality of care in a negative way. And in fact, the interruptions not only hinder the nurse's ability to focus on critical tasks, but they also present potential risks for patient safety by diverting the nurse's attention and breaking their concentration, which increases their cognitive load. So alert fatigue also increases system vulnerability because, as was pointed out before, nurses might not be paying as much attention to what they're seeing pop up in front of them, and they're just clicking okay, 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 just to get through it. And, you know, then there's a malignant or a malicious link right in the pop-up, and they just might click on it. Let's see if this will work.
So now I'm changing my name to Bing. I'm Bing. I'm gonna be interrupting her. So like I said, we started a group, right? And our main purpose is to reduce the interruptions, so to reduce those alerts, or if those alerts are really important, they are CDS, right? They help us make decisions. So if they really are important, we make it hard for the nurses to just dismiss it. They have to act on it. So our group, of course, use. Is that familiar to you guys? What does that look? I know we just ate cookies, but it's a pie. Oh, and oh my gosh, so nice to see informatics people kind of remember SDLC, right? Kind of familiar. It's really the scientific way of solving things. So we use that and we apply that in solving our problem of the interruption.
So with this analysis and redesign, we hope to reduce the frequency of pop-up alerts for nursing and to make them useful and actionable. And when they do fire, ensure that the nurses aren't just clicking OK or Xing out because they fired at the wrong time or for the wrong person. So we want to make sure that they're firing by role and by assignment and things like that, so that we're making sure we're targeting who they're firing for. And we hope to improve the nurses' opinion of the alerts they do get. You can imagine nurses appreciating the pop-ups. That might be fun. And let them know that we hear them. They're frustrated. They're, being just interrupted constantly, and just the EHR didn't turn out to be, it was touted as like this great time saver, and it didn't really turn out that way. And so we're trying to make it as easy and as smooth for them as possible. And so we hear them, and we want to make sure that they know that.
Bing, that's me again. So I don't know if you applied this in your organization already, but all our pop-ups are we call it BPA, or right now they're changing it to OPA. OPA. If you ask me, they didn't ask me. If they asked me, I would have changed it to IPA, like the beer. Important practice alert, right? It sounds better than OPA. But we added a thumbs up and thumbs down, so the nurses can click on the pop-up alert, and then they can say, oh, thumbs up, meaning they like it, or thumbs down, they don't like it, and then they will enter the reason why they don't like it. And based on those feedbacks, that's how we improve our Bing.
That was one of the things, right?
Yes.
So these are our learning our
Yes.
learning outcomes.
Yeah. Significant alert fatigue is reduced effect.
So we employed a formalized approach to optimize the effectiveness of our effort. And then we wanted to make sure we weren't wasting our time or the nurses' time. So that's why we really tried to put some structure around what we were doing and make use of those tools that had been introduced recently, such as the thumbs up, thumbs down. And by creating the structure around the analysis, we increased our likelihood of success in truly addressing the most problematic interruptions.
Me again. So how did we do it? We, of course, We are in a group of informatics people. Who here loves data?
all love
Yay!
data.
Oh my gosh, it's so nice to see hands up, because whenever I ask that, we have a new hire learner, new employee, and I present to them nursing informatics, and when I ask about data, nobody's raising their hands. Nobody's interested. Yeah, nobody's interested in informatics. And when you talk about downtime, what is that? So, yes, we created a report with the help of our IT. They checked how many times does this pop-up show. We recognize that there are top 40 pop-ups that interrupt nurses. So we dealt with those first, the highest number, of course, and then that's how we prioritize which pop-up we're gonna deal with first, and then we analyze them systematically, and guided by the feedback that they gave us, that's how we slowly improved the popping up of those alerts.
So as Janet was just saying, we had a team that was a subcommittee of our informatics, system informatics group. So we meet every other week for 2 hours as the system informatics group. And so then we formed a subcommittee to really focus on the BPAs or the pop-ups that were interrupting our nurses. And we joined with a couple of our IT analysts so that we would make sure whatever ideas we come up with to modify the BPAs or the pop-ups would actually be feasible technically. So, and we conducted a comprehensive review of only the inpatient nursing alerts. So we didn't want to spread the scope too thin and make it too much of a burden for us too, because we need to know what we're capable
For
of.
now, it's just the nursing.
Yeah, so it started with nursing, and we looked at the most frequently triggering BPAs that were showing up on the screens and the resulting actions that were taken by the nurse. So we were looking, of course, I don't know how many Epic users are in here, but if you're familiar with the honor roll, they were looking at the frequency of the pop-ups and also if your nurses are acting upon those pop-ups.
Yeah.
And so that was really a driving force. And so, and then the feedback from the thumbs up, thumbs down feature that we had implemented. And we actually looked at the necessity and the relevance of each pop-up that was coming up and if they were actually useful. So if it was something that we could automate on the back end, I know someone had mentioned before, like, I think it was in the cybersecurity, they were saying, like, you tell us on the front end and then it's our job to do the back end part of it. So we did that with a lot of like automatically applied care plans. You know, you can customize the care plan when you review your care plans for the day. You don't need a pop-up to tell you to apply the care plan in the first place if it's going to always be applied for anticoagulation, risk of bleeding. And then also that if it's automatically applied, we also didn't need a pop-up telling us that they had automatically applied something. Like, that's nice, who cares? So
That's me. So look at our numbers. 40, we just started with 40, right? What we found out, pre-intervention, 90 days pre-intervention, it was popping 180,339 times. 180,339 times of interruptive pop-ups. So how many pop-ups do you get in a day? And then every time I'm saying being here, don't you kind of like forget what you're about to say? So imagine a nurse giving a med and suddenly a pop-up appears. Very prone to mistake, right? It's not safe. So the more we can lessen the pop-ups, the better.
So this is an example of one of the pop-ups that we modified, and actually two, because the influenza and pneumonia were pretty identical. And so you can see on the top there that it really wasn't very useful. It was by far our most frequently firing and least acted upon BPA. And
Minute
we're just about to. And so they needed to, it wasn't very informative. So they really just said, place the order. And it also, if they needed to go check clinical indications, they had to actually close the BPA, dismiss it, go back, check the clinical indications, check the flow sheet there to see if they had any exclusions or not, and then re-trigger the BPA to actually make it order properly for discharge, because otherwise they couldn't just go to the orders and place the order.
Me again. So what we really did was dissected the screen. If you remember the last one, you see how different it is right now. So we even the color of the banner, we changed it if need be. We removed the dismiss button if it's really worth removing. The snooze time, we changed it. Who gets the pop-up, we screened it. And for a disease patient, why are you getting a pop-up for immunization?
The case manager
Really?
doesn't need to see that.
So even those people, we screened them and we controlled it not to show on those people that don't need it anymore. So apparently, and we didn't know this, IT can do that. Huh? Why didn't you do it in the first place? Well, they needed the nurses. Yes, we have a job.
So preliminary follow-up data indicate a very promising increase in action taken by the nurses from the pop-up triggers, with a measurable decrease in less meaningful pop-up firing rates. So here, the blue bars represent firing frequency for the 90 days before our interventions, and the orange bars represent the 90 days after. And these are all different BPAs that we worked on.
Look at the orange bar, people.
Yeah, the orange bar compared to, I mean, it's
Yeah.
incredible,
Yeah.
especially.
And we
like,
just started
the stop
this.
bang screaming.
Yeah.
As this chart illustrates, we observed a striking decrease of 65.03%, or 117,270 fewer pop-up alerts in the 90 days following the modification.
Should I say more?
Yeah.
Would you hit dismiss or would you act upon it?
They don't have a dismiss button.
Oh no, not anymore. All right, thank you so much. I think that's it.
We have questions?
Room for one.
Thank you.
Have you looked at the correlation of your pop-up alerts, with your performance improvement?
No, not yet. Because right now we're still working on this one. We are just on our 40. But what we received is evaluation from nurses. They are so happy that it's not popping up a lot anymore. Also, whenever we're going to our shared governance and telling them that we're reducing some, they're so happy. Whenever they hear BPA, they're almost like, what, you're adding another BPA? No, they don't like BPAs. So whenever they learn that we're lowering them, they're so happy about it.
Okay, another one over here. Hold on.
Sorry, just to understand, do you guys operate through IT or do you operate through nursing?
So at Atlantic Health System, they have informatics under nursing, and then they have a separate IT department that has IT analysts. Several of them are nurses as well. But yeah,
But
informatics is.
We work closely together. We have our system informatics committee where the representative of all the hospitals, and also we have our regular attendee from IT, and we meet a lot. And actually, we're having breakfast next Wednesday if you want to join us.
Any online questions? Oh, one more. Oh, go.
Kevin Howell, from a patient outcome perspective, how are you going to be tracking to see if those getting rid of those pop-up over time affects patient outcomes?
Yeah, actually, we haven't looked at patient outcomes in terms of like, are they getting more flu shots? Are they getting more pneumonia shots? So that's actually a good point that we should.
It's a great one. Yeah.
Because we just started this and we were just so happy with the results. But I figured that we're going to be tapping on our IT again to run reports, and we are going to be analyzing the data. So yes, we're going to be touching upon that. Thank you for reminding us.
think the outcome, that's a magnet story for sure.
Yes, it is.
So
Thank you
go for it. Yeah, for sure. Great job. Thank you. Okay, we have one last speaker this session. You set up here?
Back, yeah. I think so. You're gonna just bring up the slides.
Okay. Okay, while she's getting set up, this is Brenda Gazinski. She's an adjunct professor at Wagner College.
Good afternoon, everybody. I know it's towards the end of the day, so that makes it a little tough. I've been in nursing for decades, literally. Seriously. But for the past 4 or 5 years, I've been an adjunct instructor at Wagner since I retired from the acute care setting. And what I'm going to talk a little bit about today is utilization of barcode medication administration. Yes, ma'am. I need direction for a lot of things. Okay, so keep going. I'm good. Okay. What we were looking at, this is part of the project that I did in completion of my PhD. And we were looking at addressing the compliance rate for barcode medication administration, as a lot of us know it as BCMA. The problem we were facing is one of the critical care units had a tremendous difference in compliance with a BCMA compared to the other critical care units. And the charge from nursing was, let's take a look at this, see what we can do to improve this compliance, because that service line was very concerned, obviously, at the discrepancy compared to the other critical care units. We did a gap analysis and confirmed that there was clearly a compliance issue. Now we had numbers to back up what everybody suspected. Excuse me. Well, we had data, I should say. We did education in huddles and individually. We looked at the correct process for BCMA, particularly for this unit, all shifts. And we were able to obtain pre and post intervention statistics to see if that training or that education made a difference at all. Okay. As I'm sure you know, BCMA has been proven to be a very effective method to avoid and prevent and catch medication errors before they happen. The purpose of this project, it was actually twofold. It was to improve the scanning compliance in that particular unit, as well as meet the leapfrog standard for that facility. Maintaining patient safety environments was also the other key component to this. Looking at the 5 rights of medication administration, as well as the addition of the right documentation, reason, and response, which has been developed by or published by the ANA, were critical components to this project. We reviewed what we did pre-implementation. We looked at the BCMA process with the stakeholders and end users as well, because they're not necessarily the same group of people. We looked at existing hospital policies to make sure we had no conflicts that we were coming up against. And the education plan was reviewed with the project sponsor, with nursing leadership, as well as the project mentor that was helping us with this project. So the components of the implementation plan. IRB approval. I'm sure a lot of people in the room can relate to that. That was probably in some ways the biggest hurdle, but God bless the mentor, we were able to get through that without too much angst. Obviously, you have to identify and involve your stakeholders. If you skip that step, it's all over before you start, at least in my opinion. You need very accurate documentation. You have to know what your current workflow is, what the staff observations are, and what kind of discussions you've had. Because what the staff nurse is going to be explaining may be very, very different than the charge nurse, may be very different than the director of that service. We had a pharmacy analyst work with us. She did a report detailing any omissions with the appropriate detail for the 8 weeks prior to the implementation. We had no patient identifiers, so we did not need any kind of consent. We were simply pulling reports from Epic, pre-existing reports from Epic. Okay, what were our barriers? This is the staff side now. Individual. Some just did not want to do barcoding. They didn't agree with it. They didn't like it. Didn't matter that this institution had some type of EHR for a very long time. There's people that would find workarounds or just be very resistant. And I'm sure you can all at some point relate to that experience happening somewhere. Mentioned resistance, outright refusal. I'm not doing that. How do you do that? But it happens. I don't know how you do it, but it happens. I have my own opinions on how to resolve that, but that's a different story. There's fear of change. We've always done it this way. Why do we have to change? In the environment today, you have far less people that are used to paper documentation. But when we were working on this project, there were people that were still back 15 years earlier. You just have to get with the times. Wake up. Serious. Okay, the organizational barriers. Leadership changes. You had a director who was very, very pro doing this and did the best they could to try to get everybody on board, and then they left. And the next leader coming in doesn't really buy into this. That could be a huge problem. On the other hand, it can go the other way too. You could have a leader that was very resistant. They've now left, and now you've got somebody that you think you can work with. Significant staffing issues. We heard this over and over and over. This particular facility used a lot of travel nurses. And that created some issues as well, because we'll leave it at that. It created some issues as well. Okay, for the data collection, what did we do? We started the project on week 1, but the implementation actually started on week 2. It was a 8-week project, 2 to 9. Week 1, we focused on education, all staff, nursing staff, all shifts. So it meant being in there, day shift, night shift, weekends, the whole 9 yards. And this was all in agreement with the directors of the unit. They knew we would come, they knew I was coming. The pharmacy analyst, God bless her, was phenomenal. She did the 8 weeks prior to implementation and then did a follow-up report 8 weeks after we've completed the implementation of this. The statistical analysis. Pre and post intervention reports were analyzed and the reason for non-compliance were included in the analysis. And I'll be honest, some of it really fooled us. We didn't expect that. So here's the results. We looked at patient wristband scanning episodes. Pre-implementation, at 8 weeks before, roughly around 15,000 scanning episodes happened. Post-implementation, roughly 11,000. And that made sense to us because of the variability of the inpatient census. And this was run from December through January, so you have that whole holiday, you know, where your census kind of drops a little bit anyway. So we weren't really concerned about the numbers so much as the percentage of the non-compliance. One of the reasons the medication barcode was not legible. We'll get into that in a minute. We had 352 that were not legible. Post, meaning after the implementation, 287, God bless you. And they primarily that was soiled barcode labels on certain meds. So for example, if they were using eye drops or ear drops or something and they got a little bit soiled, then they couldn't read it. Why they didn't just get another label from the pharmacy, I don't know. But that didn't happen. You're laughing, I'm very serious. Okay, medication is not scanned. Pre was 1123 and post was 802. The statistics said that it was really a 7% non-compliance regardless. If you looked at the numbers of what your census was pre, your census post, and then these numbers, which kind of said to us, this may not be education. There may be something else going on here. So these were the patient episodes scanned. The blue is November to December, and then the red is January to February of last year. You'll see the number scanned, and then to my right, episodes not scanned for whatever reason. It's patient episodes now. Now let's get to the scanning issues. The bulk of the issue were medications not scanned, but no reason given. They just didn't do it. They just didn't do it. Sometimes the scanning couldn't be done. 2 problems came up. One with the label, not very legible, or if they were using a syringe pump, and if it wasn't loaded properly, you couldn't read the code on the pump. Now, why that didn't get corrected immediately, I can't answer that because I don't know. They knew it was a problem, but it hadn't been resolved. Okay, so what are the issues with this from a clinical relevance standpoint? Non-compliance by a small minority poses a very potential risk to patients, even if it's 2% of the staff that's doing it, it's still a risk. We're still putting our patients at risk. Workflow workarounds. I'm sure you could all tell stories about workarounds. I mean, my head was spinning when I heard some of the workarounds. One was, excuse me, up to and including working outside the patient room, barcode sitting on the counter next to the computer. I am not making this up. I was floored. Obviously, I did let leadership know about it, whether or not they fixed it, I don't know. Failure to adhere to established standards and the Joint Commission safety goals. Leadership priorities. System-wide accountability standards. Everybody should be on the same level of accountability. Whether you're in a PICU, a NICU, or an ICU, or a CCU, it shouldn't matter. Critical care across the board, they all have very similar issues in terms of very acutely ill patients and very, very busy. There has to be an improvement in compliance, particularly to this unit. Ongoing monitoring by leadership, and that's where we kind of think we hit on something. There's a consistent percentage of non-compliance, both pre and post, in that particular unit, much more so than the rest of the hospital. The system can identify the specific individual responsible for non-scanning, and the reason for not scanning, if it's available, is included on this report that's available daily. Nursing leadership has the access to a daily report, which will provide this information. And here's what I believe is the crux. Leadership needs to follow up with individual staff to encourage and monitor improvement in staff compliance. So what it came back to is leadership needs to follow up where there's holes. It is not an education. They knew how to do this because the numbers supported pre and post really wasn't any difference. It's particular staff members that were not following through. And that's why their percentages were much less than the other critical care units. And that's it. Thank you.
Question. Hello. My question is, I was glad that last slide you talked about being able to drill down to the individuals. Were you also able to look at the quality of care from said individuals, or at least that unit, to see how they fare with the rest of the hospital or their peers?
It's a good question. From a standard of quality of care, aside from medication administration, they were pretty much on target with everybody else. For some reason, it was just this medication administration, right? So what we recommended, I didn't have it on here, but what I recommended with completion of the project was that they redo this in 6 months and see if it's any better. I haven't gotten any feedback yet as to whether or not they've done that.
Okay, so their patient outcomes, like they didn't have, near misses. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Another question or no? Okay.
And no issue whatsoever related to devices like your scanner performance.
Nope. If something didn't work, it got pulled out right away, and IT immediately replaced it. Because I asked that question, how many of them are not working? That was not the issue.
Even the cards.
Pardon?
Even the med cards.
They were not the issues. The issue was the staff. Yeah.
System as well.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this was on nursing. This was not on anybody else in terms of the compliance, but thank you. Good.
Okay, Erica now.
Thank you again to all of our abstract presenters. This is our first year doing abstracts, and I hope we do it again next year because that was fantastic. Now I'll bring it over to Erica, who's going to draw some of our raffles today.
Okay, everybody get your purple ticket out. Can I have the raffle slide, please? Thank you. Okay. Can I have, is Aubrey and Sasha here? I think they were gonna come help me.
Everyone get it? No. Yeah, they need to get this. Yes, they need to get that. So I'm trying to.
Hey, nice to meet you.
I'm saying, points.
Do we have our bucket of tickets? Thank you. Okay, you can do the drawing. Okay.
You gotta be in it to win it. I mean, what the school should lose at this point.
I don't think so. Okay. Take it up. Okay. So thank you to our generous raffle donors, Cure AI, the Food Allergy Nursing Association, Sanciel, the New York Tri-State Chapter of ANIA, and Kathleen McGraw. I will be doing some additional giveaways for virtual attendees. Those will be done offline on like a website spinner, and you'll be emailed if you win. We're not doing those here today. Okay. Jessalee, do you want to come? Jessalee, do you want to come up and give yours? Yeah. Okay. Yay. So first, we're gonna give out. I'm gonna read the blurb. Is that okay? Okay. So as nurses are uniquely positioned to advance person-centered health AI, Cure AI is donating one Cure AI Insights Discovery consultation for 2 nursing symposium participants. During this personalized one-on-one virtual consultation, you will craft a design and implementation approach for your unique health AI innovation. You will work collaboratively to identify the barriers and facilitators to scaling your offering and opportunities to take it to the next level. Okay, we ready? Yeah, okay, go ahead. Oh, Kelly, my ticket's in my bag. Okay, you can read the number.
979007.
I don't think anyone actually had that. I think that was, okay, wait, hold on. Let me check my ticket. All right, we're gonna read it one more time. If the person has left, we're picking again. We're moving quick.
979007.
Aranella! Come on up. Are we gonna do a picture? Oh, okay, are your names on it? Oh, you're good? Okay, okay. Do you need another ticket then? Are you sure? Okay. Okay. Do I need to be writing down the names of the winners or we're okay? So, if you guys, I think, Kelly, do you want to help? Yeah, so once you win, if you can go over and see Kelly sitting over there with her hand up, she'll take your information down. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna give out our second Cure AI discovery session.
Keep up the excitement.
The number is 979092. It's 979092. Okay. 979095. Nine seven nine 979095. Next one is 979012. Going one. Going twice. All right.
No, I thought you were going. Sorry.
979077. 979077. All right, next one, 979093. I missed it twice. Again, 979093. Nine seven nine 039.
Right next to her.
Congratulations. Okay, Carlos, over here. Yeah, go ahead. Is someone take? Great. Great. Head over to Kelly. She's going to take your information down. Thank you, Kelly. Okay. Next up, we have, I think I'll do 3 raffles. So the Food Allergy Nursing Association is a professional nursing organization for nurses and healthcare professionals advancing nursing education, research, leadership, and professional collaboration in the food allergy subspecialty. And they've graciously donated 5 memberships. I'm going to give away 3 here in person, and I'll be doing 2 of those for our online attendees. All right, here we go. Thank you to Olga. Who's coming up. And your things. Here, you guys take that.
All right, so the first one is 979005. Anybody? 979042. 979042.
Okay.
So the next one is 979058. Next one, 979047.
You know, I feel like I won. Like you all practice. I'm winning for that.
The next, last one, right? All right. Next one is 979097. Nine 979027.
Okay, Olga is going to stay with us. Our next group of prizes are from Sunciel, the Society of Nurse Scientists, Innovators, Entrepreneurs, and Leaders. Mission is to magnify, network, and elevate nurse innovators' expertise as transformation agents who contribute to healthcare reform with the vision of creating a world where every nurse is inspired to transform health and healthcare. They've donated 5 memberships. I will do 3 in the room and 2 to virtual attendees.
979082. I have 979089. Okay. 979033. Next one is 979026. Okay. 979094. All right, next one is 9790. Oh,
Thank you. What happened?
Just for protection, a picture, so I'm not purchasing.
next one is 979057. Nine seven nine zero zero two. We have two more. Why am I running behind? Okay, all right, we have next up, Kathleen McGraw. Kathleen McGraw has donated 2 signed copies of her book, Empowering Nurses with Technology. So excited. And fresh off the presses. Yeah. And so winners can touch base with Kathleen to have them personalized. All right, here we go. Right, I have 979027. Nine seven nine 100.
I'm not 18.
I'm sorry, we have 2 more raffles that I missed on my paper. The Tri-State chapter of ANIA was founded in 2017. Their mission is to engage informatics nursing professionals in all roles and settings through communication, education, research, and professional activities to advance the field of nursing, informatics in the New York Tri-State region. They've donated 1 admission to their annual fall symposium being held this year in October, in October, and 1 ANIA membership. 1 annual ANIA membership. So you want to draw with me? So I let my people go? All right. Okay, here we go.
979080.
Fall symposium. Great. Picture, go ahead together. Hey. Hello, and 1 membership to ANIA. You ready? You have your tickets? Okay.
979049.
Oh, come on.
Okay, I'm ready. Michelle makes business. 979011. X. Okay. You won? Thank you. Put it back. Thank you very much. Okay, here we go. Thank you.
He's giving it.
979045. 979009. 979037. 979084. What? I don't know. All right. 979096. No more raffle tickets for people who leave early. 979017. Yay! Thank you very much. What? There's more? No, there's not. Nobody. What's in the bag? What do you want me to raffle this off? Yeah. Okay, we're raffling this bag. Okay. I don't know what it is. It's alcohol? Yeah. Woo! All right. 979078. Right here. All right. I was the raffle coordinator. You have to tell me these. All right, why don't you hand it to somebody? Why don't you pick out somebody who would like it? Okay. Go ahead. Okay. You want Inga? You want to pick? Come get a picture. Who donated? Oh, okay. Take a picture. I didn't know. Thank you, Kim. Okay. There are no more raffles. Okay. That is sad. Okay. Who's next?
Okay, thank you for joining us for this year's symposium. It is an honor and a privilege to be able to bring you programming like this. So thank you so much for attending. Thank you for your engagement, your willingness to and enthusiasm to learn, grow, and collaborate with us. That's what makes events like this really meaningful. So thank you. Please scan this dinosaur so you can get your CE evaluation done, and a blank certificate will be emailed to you. It takes like 5 minutes. So definitely get ahead of that. Another thank you to our sponsors for being able to bring this event to life. And another thank you to our planning committee. None of this would have been possible without you. You guys worked tirelessly throughout behind the scenes to make sure that everything ran smoothly. If you didn't, yes, woo! If you didn't get a chance to, please check out our partner organizations, HIMSS, ANIA, ANA New York, and Sanciel. We all do fantastic work, and we're a lot of fun. So come say hi. I also want to give a special thank you to Tony Ferranti. This is Tony's last year on the board. Tony's dedication and compassion inspire us all. And we're so grateful to be able to thank you. And Tony always says, find the helpers. And from us to you, we want to say thank you for helping us. And thank you for being a champion for nurses.
Go nurses. This is super special. Thank you. It's tough. It's been a number of years. I started 1998 helping out in both New Jersey and New York. And I'll tell you, I love everybody who participates and helps out. That's what makes the chapter so fantastic. We can't do this without your help. Okay. Yes, I've been around and there've been some other folks. It's time to pass the torch. It's tough because I'm still 39. I just celebrate the anniversary of that birthday in case anybody's interested. But look to get involved in more than just coming to an event. Look to participate and add your voice because that makes this special. Okay. And it makes not only special for you, but it makes it special to everybody else that participates. So I'm truly touched by what you did for me here today. And I'm working with other folks still behind, I'll still be behind the scenes. So, you know, I don't know how to stop. Okay. When I retired from my last company, my kids all came to that retirement party and they said, Tony's retiring. And my kids all stood up and said, you gotta be kidding, he ain't retiring. But thank you. Thank you very much. Do I drop the mic now?
I think Olga wanted to say a few words as well. Thank you, Tony.
I just wanted to say, Tony, thank you so much. I think this event, by the way, large part is because of Tony. He's supported our nursing committee and our community at large as long as I know you. So thank you. So thank you again. And I think this is a legacy that you leave behind. So thank you again.
We also want to recognize and thank Julie Luengas, who is leaving the board later this year. So Julie, if you want to come up, we have some photos for you.
And cry all at once. I just want to say it's a spectacular opportunity to be part of the nursing committee within HIMSS New York chapter and the board. And as Olga mentioned, there's mentors all throughout. No matter what your title is, we all need mentors at different points in times. And Tony's been an incredible mentor and guidance, and so is Olga and Elaine and Marianne. And Kathy. Every time I look, I see another person. We all support each other, whether it's within the chapter or within our job. I'm pretty bothered about this. And I wholeheartedly say, come and volunteer, get involved. It is such a great way to give back. You will always get more than what you give. In addition to that, what you learn, the people you meet, it's an incredible opportunity. Don't be afraid. Everyone is going to support you and make sure you're successful. If you're successful, the chapter's successful, we're successful. Thank you. I didn't expect this and much appreciated.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Just something to note, if you're filling out the evaluation on your mobile phone, you need to do it in landscape because some of the options like 1 through 5 are cut off. So again, if you're doing it in portrait, you will miss. So just turn your phone and do it in landscape. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone, for attending this year's symposium. Oh, we want to take a group picture. All right, how are we going to do that? Everyone come up to the front so we can take a huge picture.
Oh, it's still up. Oh, she did put it up. Good. Take that picture. Take that picture. No, don't get a photo. Don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Obviously, I know that.